Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving into the surprisingly mysterious history of an everyday object you probably don't think twice about, the umbrella. When did we first start using them, and why? The answer is far more fascinating than you might imagine. So grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's journey back in time. The story of the umbrella doesn't begin with rain. In fact, for thousands of years, it had absolutely nothing to do with keeping dry. Its origins are rooted in something far more powerful: the sun. The earliest evidence we have of umbrella-like devices comes from ancient civilizations like Egypt, Assyria, and China, dating back over 4,000 years. Imagine the scorching sun of the Nile Valley. Here, the umbrella, or rather the parasol, was not for the common person. It was an exclusive symbol of nobility, royalty, and divinity. Intricate carvings and paintings from ancient Egypt around the 25th century BC show attendants holding large parasols made of palm leaves, feathers, or stretched papyrus over the heads of pharaohs and high-ranking officials. This wasn't for comfort, it was a statement. To be shielded from the sun was to be set apart, to be considered almost godlike, untouched by the harsh elements that ordinary people had to endure. The shade it cast was a mobile piece of personal sky, a sacred space. Similarly, in the mighty Assyrian Empire, reliefs from Nineveh depict the king in his chariot, with a servant meticulously holding a parasol over his head, even during military campaigns or royal hunts. The umbrella was an integral part of the royal entourage, a non-negotiable accessory of power. Its size and the richness of its decoration often signified the rank of the person beneath it. It was a portable throne room canopy, a constant reminder to all of the king's elevated status. But it's in ancient China that the umbrella truly began to evolve. Legend attributes its invention to Lu Ban, a brilliant Chinese carpenter and engineer from around 500 BC. The story goes that he was inspired by watching children use lotus leaves to shield themselves from the rain. He decided to create a more durable, flexible version, a frame of ribs covered with silk. This design, with a collapsible frame, is the direct ancestor of the umbrella we use today. Early Chinese umbrellas were marvels of craftsmanship, made with mulberry bark paper or silk, which was then waxed and lacquered to make it waterproof. This is a crucial turning point. In China, the umbrella began its transition from a sunshade to a rain protector. But even here it retained its aristocratic flair. Red and yellow umbrellas were reserved exclusively for the emperor, while others used blue. The umbrella became a feature in intricate ceremonial processions, weddings, and rituals, its color and design communicating complex social codes. So how did this symbol of Eastern royalty make its way to Europe? The journey was slow and full of cultural twists. The ancient Greeks and Romans knew of the parasol, likely through their interactions with Egypt and Persia. However, they viewed it very differently. In Greece and Rome, the parasol was considered an accessory for wealthy women. It was seen as effeminate, a sign of softness that was completely at odds with the masculine ideals of the time. A respectable man would never be caught carrying one. Instead, he was expected to endure the sun and rain as a sign of his hardiness. We see this in ancient literature, where men who used parasols were often mocked. For centuries, this perception held firm across Europe. The umbrella remained a niche, gendered item, largely forgotten during the chaos that followed the fall of the Roman Empire. It would take until the Renaissance, with its renewed trade links to the East, for the parasol to make a tentative comeback, primarily in Italy and France, but again, almost exclusively as a fashion accessory for aristocratic women. It was delicate, often adorned with lace and ribbons, and utterly impractical for anything more than a light drizzle. The big change, the revolution that put the umbrella in the hands of everyone, happened in 18th century England. And it's all thanks to one brave, or perhaps just stubborn, man, Jonas Hanway. Hanway was a traveler and philanthropist who had spent time in Persia and seen men using umbrellas without any sense of shame. When he returned to London around 1750, he began to carry an umbrella publicly to shield himself from the city's notoriously persistent rain. You might think people would thank him for the brilliant idea. You would be wrong. Hanway was met with outrage and ridicule. Remember, The umbrella was still seen as a Frenchy and feminine accessory. Men jeered at him in the streets. But the most aggressive opposition came from an unexpected source: the coachmen. The drivers of London's horse-drawn taxicabs, known as hackneys, had a monopoly on keeping people dry. If it rained, your only option was to hire a cab. Hanway's umbrella was a direct threat to their livelihood. They would shout insults, and some even tried to run him down with their carriages or splash him with muddy water. But Hanway persisted. For 30 years he carried his umbrella through the streets of London, enduring the mockery. Slowly, perception began to shift. Other men, particularly those who couldn't afford a daily cab, started to see the practical sense in it. They were nicknamed Hanways for a time. By the time Jonas Hanway died, carrying an umbrella in the rain had become not just acceptable for an English gentleman, but a sign of common sense. He had single-handedly normalized the umbrella for men. The 19th century was the golden age of the umbrella's development. In 1852, Samuel Fox, an English steel manufacturer, invented the steel-ribbed umbrella. He claimed to have come up with the idea to use up the leftover steel stays from women's corsets. His design, using a light but strong U-shaped steel frame, was a massive improvement over the clumsy wood or whalebone frames of the past. It was durable, lightweight, and could be mass-produced, making umbrellas affordable for everyone. Suddenly, the umbrella was no longer a luxury item or a controversial statement. It was a standard piece of equipment for city life. The iconic image of the London city gentleman, with his bowler hat and tightly rolled umbrella, was born. From there, innovations continued. The first compact folding telescopic umbrella was patented in the 1920s, and with the advent of new materials like nylon, aluminum, and fiberglass in the 20th century, the umbrella became the lightweight, convenient tool we know today. So the next time you pop open your umbrella to fend off a downpour, take a moment to appreciate its incredible journey, from a sacred symbol of divinity in ancient Egypt to a mark of royalty in China, a scandalous accessory in 18th century London, and finally, a universal tool of convenience. It's a story of status, gender, technology, and one man's refusal to get wet. It just goes to show that even the most ordinary objects can have the most extraordinary histories. Thank you so much for watching. What everyday object should we investigate next? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this journey through time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. See you next time.